Hi guys, welcome back to Geeks 40k channel and our latest battle report. Tonight we are in the Outer Rim, a world that was held by the Imperial Guard until the evil forces of Chaos turned up. So as you can already tell, this planet has already seen quite a lot of action. There's remains of the battle spewing across the battlefield here. The Imperial Guard were pushed back, were almost completely and utterly annihilated, but the commander who was left in charge surrendered, gave over to the Chaos Gods. Not fully, but they've aligned themselves with the Nurgle and the Chaos. So the Imperium has sent out the Space Wolves, they've sent out the Emperor's Executioners to clear the planet down. So tonight's mission we are doing Purge the Alien, so just normal victory points, and the deployment zones are all marked out. However, we're going to do a bit of a house rule with this one. So the Imperial Guard are on the side of the Chaos. However, if the Space Wolves manage to destroy the Chaos Warlord choice, the remaining Imperial Guard, the guys that are left, will snap out of their Chaos trance and turn back to the Imperium light, and will hopefully start fighting against the Chaos. So it gives me options, it gives me choices as a Space Wolf guy. Do I go for the Warlord? Do I try and turn the Imperial Guard back? Or do I just annihilate them for being cowards? And as they're Johns, I'll probably try and do that one. So let's go and take a look at the armies. HQ and Warlord for the Space Wolf this evening. I'm taking Herald Deathwolf, so he comes to stock with his Frost Axe and his Storm Shield. His Warlord trait is Lord of the Wolfkin, so will keep beasts and cavalry within 12 inches. Use his leadership, which might actually come in quite handy. Next HQ choice, I'm taking Crom Dragon Gaze out of the Stormclaw box set. Again, just standard as he comes out the box. Over to troops, I'm taking a 10-man Grey Hunters squad in a Rhino. In here there is a Power Fist, there is also a Plasma Gun. Next troop choice, exactly the same loadout. There is a Plasma Gun and a Power Fist in there, again in a Rhino. Over to Fast Attack, I am taking 3 Thunderwolf Cavalry guys. These guys all have their Storm Shields. There is one with a Thunder Hammer. They will be teaming up with Herald Deathwolf tonight, going around their little posse. Next Fast Attack, I have my Stormwolf Flyer with the Hellfrost cannon on the top, hopefully blowing up quite a lot of the Imperial Guard and the evil Chaos. Next, I have a 5-man Terminator squad. In here there are 2 Thunderhammers with Storm Shields and 3 pairs of Wolf Claws. And joining them this evening is Arjak Rockfist, just to strengthen that team. These guys probably will be deep striking in. Not 100% sure on that one just yet, but I'll see when we get closer to deployment. Next elite choice, I have a Venerable Dreadnought, which has a Hellfrost Cannon and a Power Fist. Next, I have another Venerable Dreadnought, this one with the Fenrisian Great Axe and the Blizzard Shield. He will be arriving from reserve in a drop pod, hopefully getting into the back lines of the Imperial Guard or the Chaos. Just causing a bit of a nightmare while he's there. Next, heavy support, I have a Vindicator. Again, hopefully landed loads of big shells on the evil that is the Chaos. And final heavy support choice, I have my Land Raider. So twin link lascans, heavy bolters on there. And Lord of War for tonight, I am borrowing Jonathan's Knight. He has got the battle cannon and obviously the massive, great, big, huge chainsword. So he's there to take on the forces of Chaos. So that is my 2,500 point Space Wolf list. Let's head over to the combined list of the Chaos and the Imperial Guard.
Alright, so 2,500 points of Chaos Demons and Renegade Imperial Guard. That's the proper name for them. We're not going this Astra, Milith, something, right? And yes, the Nurgle Demons are back with a vengeance this time. Of course, you can't just kill a demon. You have banished them to the warp and then they're going to come back and get you. So we have the Nurgle Great Unclean One. And he, again, has got 2 great rewards, Master Level 3. And I'll roll for those afterwards, talk about those through the deployment. And in the other HQ slot, we then have a Herald of Nurgle, who's level 2. Again, I'm going to be rolling for him actually on Plague, whereas Great and Clean One I'm going to be rolling on Biomancy. Then in the troops choice, I have 10 Plague Bearers, just vanilla Plague Bearers. I mean, going in and maybe glancing some stuff to death with their plague swords. And then I have my amazing little Nurglings. They're back again. It's my second troops option. They'll be infiltrating and just becoming a bit of a nuisance for these Imperials. And then in a detachment for the Demons, I have my Nurgle Knight, who is a Knight Warden. I'm actually just using the rules from the Imperial Knights book. It was thanks to someone who mentioned in the last video about actually the Chaos Knight rules. Fortunately, I've modelled these from the new Knights, and they only have the Knight Errant and Knight Paladin. So hopefully they'll either update them, or I guess in a future game I could just use them as those models. But anyway, so that's a Knight Warden with the Avenger Gatling Cannon, but it's a big cannon with 12 shots, rending, and of course close combat D, and then the Ironstorm missile pod on top. And he also has a flamer attached. And then the other Knight, the new addition to the Chaos family, I don't think I could get many more skulls on there, but this is a Knight Gallant, who is basically just a close combat beast with a fist that allows him to pick up armour and throw it back at the Imperial scum. And then, of course, he's also got another missile pod on top, which is the anti-infantry, also with a melter gun, just like the other Knight as well. So, yeah, so this will be his debut outing, and I'm sure he's going to tear a few things up. But John's now going to cover off the Imperial Guard section of this Chaos Force.
Okay, so HQ for the Imperial Guard, we've got a tank commander in a Vanquisher with an attached Vanquisher alongside. So my detachment leader, if you like, is in the brown tank, and that's got heavy bolters as sponsons and heavy bolters in the front. The black tank has a las cannon in the hull and then no sponsons. For my troops choice, first troop choice, these guys. So we've got a veteran squad with 3 melt guns with a Chimera as a transport. And then my second troop choice is an infantry platoon. We've got platoon command squad at the front there with a plasma gun. And then we've got 2 identical, well, more or less identical squads with a melt gun embedded in them. And I've got 1 Imperial Guard preacher alongside. And then in the fast attack slot, I've got the old faithful Vendetta. Hopefully going to rule the skies, and then start picking on some ground-based vehicle targets when the opportunity arises. And then in the heavy support, I've got my Avenger, another outing for the Avenger, which is awesome. Absolutely love that model. It's amazing. Looks great. Great rules. Absolutely brilliant. And then in an attempt to counter Rich's inevitable sway of Terminators, I've got the Lehman Russ Executioner with the plasma cannon on there, and as you can see, heavy bolters on sponsons and heavy bolters in the hull. So that's my Imperial Guard selection.
Deployment for the Space Wolves. My Thunderwolf Cavalry and Herald Deathwolf are starting on the one side of the board, supported by the Land Raider. Basically, they kind of have a little bit of a free rein up the board there, so they can work their way up. Over in the middle of the board, there is a Rhino with one of the Grey Hunter squads. My Vindicator laying down a bit of covering fire. Got a big open space in the middle there. So my Vindicator's there ready to unleash hell. Anybody dares come forward. My Venerable Dreadnought with the Hellfrost Cannon again. Probably move forward. Maybe move up with the Wolves on the right hand side of the board. Maybe. Nothing over there. Over this side of the board we have my remaining Rhino with the Grey Hunter squad. And we have my Knight ready to either go into the middle of the board or go for a feint up this side. In reserve, I have my Terminators with Arjat Rockfist, which will be deep striking. And we have my Stormwolf Flyer and my Drop Pod with my Dreadnought in.
All right then, guys, so Chaos Demons and Renegades deployment. First off then, we've got the front of the field being held by the Nurglings, laughing manically down upon the field of battle. They just hunkered down there, the first troops choice, and then we've got the 2 Knights flanking either side. So they either have the option of just pushing up the field or really responding to the first movements from the Imperials and the Space Wolves, and they can either shoot, stand back. I don't know. We'll see where we go with those 2 Knights, and behind them we have the rather cowardly Imperial Guard or Renegades hiding behind the Knights, getting some cover saves with this Vanquisher. I want to say, I don't know my tanks. Sorry, Executioner. Apologies to all the neckbeards out there. The Executioner. And then some other Imperial Guard guys Platoon command squad, right? Okay, you can see I pay a lot of attention to these Imperial types. And then we have more guys.
Yes, more guys.
Just more guys. Okay, and Chimera.
Yeah,
Chimera. With 10 veterans in there. What weapons do they have, John?
Melt guns.
And melt guns. And then we have another Lehman Russ with a bigger cannon. That's the Vanquisher. Okay, right. And then there's another Vanquisher over here. I should probably have paid attention to the guys that I have on my team. And then also in reserve then for John, we also have the Vendetta and then an Avenger. And then my unit of 10 Plague Bearers also in reserve who are going to be deep striking in later on in the game. And who knows, I might even get a chance to summon some more demons to be placed randomly around the table.
Herald Deathwolf and the Thunderwolf Cavalry have started their gallop up the right-hand side of the board. Quite clear at the moment, but I have got to be wary of that. And let's face it, that. Joining them in support is the Land Raider. This guy's moved around a little bit and come forward. The Dreadnought with the Hellfrost Cannon has moved up. The Vanquisher? The Vindicator, even, has moved around from his little bit of cover, basically just trying to get a shot off. Maybe at the screaming, crazy Nurglings inside of that building there. Rhino's moved up. Not really a plan with what to do there with them guys yet. The Knight smashed his way through the building, getting up the cover. He's going to go up the left-hand side of the board. Supporting him is a Rhino with Grey Hunters in. And finally, my drop pod is on. It hit exactly where I wanted it to. It is in their lines. We have my Dreadnought with my Blizzard Shield and my Great Axe ready to go into... Well, he's got a choice. He's got Knight, Tank, the Warlord, Imperial Guard. We got a good choice of what we could go into and smash up in turn 2 when he can actually enter assault if he survives the Chaos turn 1. But it might mean that some of these guys turn round and concentrate fire on this guy rather than paying any attention to what's going on out here. The Stormbolter inside of the drop pod opened up on the guardsman down here, killing off one. Last cannons from the Land Raider and the Thunderwolf Cavalry all out of range. So the Hellfrost cannon was in range, opened up on the Nurglings, taking a wound. These guys get a 2-up cover save because of the... What was it again? Shrouded, that's the one. So because of Shrouded, they get a 2-up cover save, which is really helpful for me. Vindicator out of range. So the Knight opened up. It opened up with its heavy stubbers up on the Nurglings again, but again they were saved with that Shrouded rule. The Battle Cannon opened up with its 2 shots and hit the Knight, penetrated both times, taking off 2 hull points. It did scatter back onto the Warlord, but again with that big cover save then he was perfectly fine. So that is everything that's going to shoot. That is... Well, there is going to be no assault because I'm not in range of anything. So it's going to be over to the Chaos.
So the first Knight has made its way forward and getting into assault range. It's quite an ambitious little assault charge, but James assures me he's feeling lucky. So let's see how that goes in a second. Vehicles down here have stayed put. Just they've got a good firing position, so they're staying put.
Cowards.
Second Knight over here moved to react to the Dreadnought, which has just randomly appeared at the back of the battlefield.
It's not random.
Yeah, it is random. We weren't expecting it. Well, we weren't aware of it. Anyway, so that's what they're doing. These guys down here, or this guy down here, the Lehman Russ has just moved the 6 inches just to get it into line of sight with the cavalry down there. So hopefully they'll do some damage with the templates in a second. And I forgot to mention the Chimera, which is also basically following the Knight along and using it as a bit of mobile cover, which is awesome. So that is basically our movement done. Oh, I should also mention as well the little blob squad down here. They've moved just a couple of inches just to bring the melt guns over to also have a little pop at the dread over the back there. So looking to neutralise that threat as quickly as possible. Fine. Right, let's go on to shooting and see what happens.
Psychic phase, a great and clean one. I managed to get Iron Arm. Didn't have any dice left for endurance, but that's fine. Toughness 10, strength 9. I think should be able to deal with this mere drop pod. That was pretty much it. Warp Storm results, I managed to turn... Well, if he had any Psychers, they would have potentially been turned to a demon. But yeah, there are none on the table. So that was very quick. And then the shooting phase was quite eventful. The Dreadnought with the shield and the ridiculously big axe has now gone boom, thanks to a combination of the Imperial Guard and their melters. You can just see them shooting through there. And also then the Knight literally unloading everything into him. Yeah, he's been dealt with. So that's first blood and, of course, 1 victory point already on the scores. Or scores on the doors for Demons and Renegades. And then the rest of the shooting, we also then had... I can never remember the name of this tank, but this one with the Executioner, I don't think it did anything, did it, John?
It hit lots, but...
Hit lots, okay. But amazing saves from the Space Wolves, so good for them. But then the other tanks, with the Vanquishers, I almost had it, Vanquishers, they managed to take out the Demolisher and just left the crater in the ground. Then... Knight over here, melter gun, it did take a pot shot at the other Knight, but yeah, it was just a lucky shot, that didn't do anything. And then the missile pod on top as well, they had a pot shot at the walls, but again, it's only strength 5, so 4's to wound. So yeah, that's it. I don't think I've missed anything out from our shooting phase, but yeah, we've already managed to get 2 points up on that.
And first blood.
And first, yeah,
3 points.
3 points, yeah. So yes, that's going to be over to our assault phase. Great and clean one. Yeah, made quick work of the drop pod that was there, so that's another victory point to the Chaos side. And the Knight here, he tried his best. New model syndrome. I fear what's coming next. But yeah, he failed his charge. And that is pretty much it for our side. So it goes over to the Space Wolf turn 2.
That last turn was quite heavy on the Space Wolves, losing my Dreadnought, my Drop Pod, and my Vindicator. So one nasty Dreadnought in the back line's gone. But it did tie up a Knight and the Warlord for a turn, so it kind of did what he wanted. On the movement front, my Thunderwolf Cavalry have moved up. This guy's shooting at them. Annoyed them quite a lot, so they're going to go in and smash him to pieces, hopefully. The Land Raider managed to not immobilise itself as it went over the terrain. Changed the angle slightly. Just get his last cannons in. Probably down there. Hellfrost Cannon on the Dreadnought has also moved forward. So maybe the Nurglings. Got the Warlord. In focus mode it might do some damage. The Rhino has moved around and up. It's turbo boosted, so it's following the Land Raider. My reserves are on. My Stormwolf Flyer is on. Staring down at the Knight. Will it do anything? We'll see. The Knight that was here, that was going to get assaulted by the other Knight, has ignored it and has moved round here with the Land Raider. He's now in the building. His eyes are afire with hatred because he's going to go into these guys. There's no way around it. He's going to go into the back lines and smash them. Being supported by the Terminators that managed to deep strike and not scatter. Robin, please take note. That is how you deep strike in. You deep strike, slap bang on where you want to. Yes, I've got to stand there for a turn. Yes, I've got some big things staring down at me. But I can take it. They can take it. Let's go find out what damage I can cause in the shooting phase. The Land Raider and the Dreadnought opened up at the Nurglings. Doing nothing. That 2-up save is getting quite irritating now. My Stormwolf Flyer opened up at the Knight. Again, not doing anything. That front arc shield, saving it from the last cannons and the Hellfrost Cannon on focus mode. The Knight that was in this building, the one that is filled with rage, opened up with his battle cannon on the Imperial Guard squad down here, killing John. How many?
What's that?
How many? 6 dead. Thank you. However, Thor's hammer, that's not Thor's hammer for Marjack Rockfist, threw and missed completely. Wild. So it's going to be over assault. This guy here is going to be going into these tanks and will hopefully smash them clean out of the way. So the Imperial Knight made it into combat with the 2 tanks. They are in a squadron. Basically did enough damage on the D table to take all the hull points off these 2. So this guy has gone in, did exactly what I wanted him to, and destroyed the Imperial Guard tanks over here for, well, basically turning from the Emperor's Light. Over here, the Thunderwolf Cavalry and Herald Deathwolf made it into combat with the tank that was there. Again, just destroying it. It exploded in their face, but these guys are tough and they took the blast. And their wolves are perfectly fine. A little bit singed, but they're okay. And they are going to be riding down. They have the Warlord in their sight. Will he come their way? So that's 2 victory points for the Space Wolves. So it's currently 4-2. Still a fair bit on the board. Everything's on for the Wolves. We've got a fair bit in reserve, 2 flyers in for the Imperial Guard and a little bit in for the Chaos to come in yet. So it's not over by a long shot, but the Space Wolves are now deep in the enemy half.
So the guys have piled out the Chimera and made their way into the building. So they've got options here for the Rhino and for the back of the Knight. And speaking of Knights, our red friend here has made his way over, clearly with a view to assault. Looks like these two are going to duke it out over the remains of the HQ unit. In the centre here, the other guard units have moved away from the Terminators. Run away!
Safe idea.
And so's the Knight and so's our Warlord, all heading over towards the Cavalry. A few new things you might have noticed on the board. We've got a Vendetta that's appeared with a view to taking on a Space Wolf Flyer. And our Plague Bearers down here have done another precision deep strike. Any messages for Robin at all about deep striking?
That's how to do it.
So those guys have landed bang on target. Clearly can't assault this turn, but it's quite obvious to see what they're going to do.
Psychic phase then, starting with that, I managed to cast Iron Arm on the Great and Clean one over there, hoping I can get into combat with the Thunderwolves, and then from the perfect Deep Strike that I had in here, allowed me to then cast Rancid, no sorry it wasn't, I attempted to cast Rancid Visitation, so that failed, but I did cast Plague Wind, so it was a nice big AP2 blast, Poison 4+, on the Terminators, which actually managed to get 2 of them off, so that should maybe help me stick around for a bit longer. And that was it for the Psychic. Then Slaanesh decided to turn up and basically rampaged around the battlefield, took 2 points off the Knight, believe it or not, with the Strength 6 rending. Then it managed to take, I think it was another Thunderwolf Cav. As you can see, they've actually been quite heavily depleted in shooting phase. And then the Rhino at the back as well took another whole point off that. So, yeah, he was a little bit miffed, to say the least.
That hurt a lot.
Yeah, so then we moved on to shooting, and we took more whole points off this Knight, really softened up down to just 1 with the Melter Gun, got through, did a 6, did multiple wounds. Then the Melter Guns from the squad here, they also then took some more whole points off. They decided to not shoot at the Rhino. The Chimera here, I think then also decided to try and shoot, actually that's tried to shoot the Dreadnought. Didn't take any whole points off, but then the Knight opened up, and that took the missile pod over the Dreadnought, took it down to 2 whole points, and then it basically just unloaded the Gatling cannon into the Thunderwolf Cav, and also with the help from the Imperial Guard on top of the building with a plasma gun, John, and then the other las rifles, or the torches, blinded some of the Thunderwolf Cav, and yeah, we're just down to 2 wounds on the independent character. I can't remember his name.
Herald Deathwolf.
That chap. Yeah. So yeah, it was actually a very, very lucky and successful shooting phase. And the flyer?
Yes.
So I missed something with the flyer?
Vendetta shot at it and it had
Oh yeah, your big stonking plane.
Yeah.
Did you hit it, John?
I did hit it. I hit it 3 times.
Did you take any whole points off, John?
No, I jinked it.
Enough said about that. Time to go into the assault phase and see if, well, essentially what happens with this epic fight between the 2 knights. Stranger things have happened with 1 whole point against a fully loaded 6 whole point knight. And then we're also going to see if we can get a ridiculously long charge over here from the Great and Clean one, and maybe even a knight onto the Thunderwolf Cav as well. Just a little side note, Great and Clean one, even though he got Iron Arm, he managed to hurt himself. And so, Perils of the Warp, he just then suffered 1 wound, no saves of any kind allowed. So he's down on 5. Might be enough to survive this charge. Boom! Basically, is what happened in this assault phase. We had a titanic explosion from the Knight, obviously charged in. Both went at the same time, but just with the amount of attacks this guy had, he managed to take out the paladin. But then in the Titanic explosion that we had with the biggest strength D, I had a D in the face, took 3 whole points off there. I also think it killed a couple of guardsmen as well, 2 guys, and a whole point from the Chimera as well. But hey, you know, all in the service of Chaos. It's a mere sacrifice to take this guy out, so that's pretty happy. I think I'm going to have to get a new trophy put on the top of him somewhere. What else did we do in the combat phase? Then we also had the Great and Clean one. Charged in, strength 9, toughness 10, thanks to Iron Arm. Yeah, he's just a bit of a combat beast, so he basically just ran over the dog that was there. Yeah, and that's it. We're going to carry on pushing up the battlefield.
The Grey Hunters that are inside this Rhino have had enough of this guard squad. They were holding out, seeing if the Warlord would fall in combat, see if these guys would come back to the light, but they haven't. So they do what Space Wolves do best, and they have gone out and formed a firing squad. These guys are known as the Emperor's Executioners. These guys are going to unleash everything they have at these poor guardsmen here inside this building. Over here, the Stormwolf Flyer has moved up. It has the back of the knight that's got 4 hull points remaining staring at it. The Dreadnought with Hellfrost Cannon, which can only snapshot, so it'll be on focus mode. Down here to the Chimera. The Land Raider has moved up, extra fire support for the Flyer into the Knight. The Rhino has moved around basically just to get away from the Great and Clean one that's there. Moving round with the other Grey Hunter squad. And finally, these guys have moved up. They're within an inch, well, they're an inch away from these guys. There's going to be Thor's Hammer, that's not Thor's Hammer, firing into these guys, and the bolt pistol going into these guys, hopefully causing a couple of deaths. So the plan is, dead at the end of the turn, 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 maybe? There appears to be a big hole where the Chaos Knight was once standing. Combined fire from the Land Raider and the Flyer. Removed it of all its hull points. It went Titanic explosion, killing off, I think it was about 5 guardsmen. I think there was about 3, 4 from down here. Another 2 from here. They literally took the blast to the face. So the Imperial Guard have been betrayed by the Chaos basically for blowing up in their face. So these guys here are going to have to rally. The Dreadnought opened up at the Chimera. Failed to get the snapshot off, unfortunately. So that Chimera is still there with 2 hull points left. Luckily, the fire from the Grey Hunters that are here destroyed the Imperial Guard that are inside that building. So these guys are howling. They have got their feet on the dead corpses of the Imperial Guard, and they are howling at the moon in revenge for these guys turning away from the Imperial light. Yeah, that thing's still alive. Down here, Crom opened up with his bolt pistol, killing one of these little demon Nurgle things. And then Crom threw his hammer and killed another one. So it's going to be over to assault. The only assault that is really going to take place is here. Going to try and wipe these guys out. So the Terminators with Arjak and Crom made it into the little Nurgle dudes that were down there. Basically just smashed them. Absolutely buried the Thunderhammers as deep into their skulls, if they have them, as possible. The Lightning Claw, well, the Wolf Claws, shredded them as much as possible, and the Frost Axe just mopped up the remainders. So that is another victory point, and there was an independent character in there, so that's 2 victory points for that squad, so I'm quite happy about that one. And they're sitting there in line breaker mode. I've spread them out as much as possible, trying to avoid any kind of huge shells from, knights. Well, that's the close combat knight, isn't it? So the other one, yeah. And John has a flyer to come on. So, yeah, let's head over to the Chaos.
Okay, so the Avenger is on, and the Avenger is facing down at the Space Wolf Flyer. My Vendetta's moved the 18 inches that you've got to do, which means it's flown over the top of anything really juicy. So we've just got that little Rhino to pick out, but, whatever. Target's a target, right? Chimera moved flat out, just going for line breaker. And the Chaos Knight has moved forward with an eye to going after that Dreadnought, stepping underneath the Space Wolf flyer on its way through. Guard down here, past their morale, they're backing away. Still a bit scared by these guys down here, so they're backing away and going to hide like cowards. And we're just ignoring these guys over here. We're just gonna go around them and hope for the best. So the Vendetta has glanced the Rhino to death, and space puppies have piled out from there. The Chimera over here had a go at snapshots, but didn't get the required rolls. Over here, the Avenger shot at the Flyer. It's managed to take 1 hull point down, but nothing too exciting down here. A bit of a cheeky shot with the las guns over here at the Terminators, but no wounds scored there. So not a particularly eventful set of shooting.
Good.
Warp Storm looks on paper to be quite impressive. What did we roll?
Khorne's Wrath.
Khorne's Wrath. So
Yeah.
little mini blast templates.
Yeah.
On the rolls of a 6, but unfortunately we didn't get any 6s, so it could have been bad, but it really wasn't. So not a very eventful turn, I'm afraid.
The Knight managed to get the charge in and assaulted the Dreadnought, and the Hammer of Wrath did nothing, but he then used his Thunderstrike Gauntlet and tore him apart, really. Unfortunately, because then the hurl ability, what it allows him to do is then if he destroys any vehicle or armour in combat, I can then pick it up and then make a instant shooting attack, rounding the armour value down half, so it would have been strength 6. Problem is, the only thing that was in range was the Land Raider, so I think basically I picked up the Dreadnought after I crushed it, and then it just bounced off the side of this thing. But yeah, that's it. So that's another victory point to Chaos Demons.
The Rhino that dropped the Grey Hunters off inside the ruined building has moved up, managed to get over the Knight without immobilising itself. That will secure me line breaker. With that in mind, the Terminators have started moving up the board, looking at the traitorous Imperial Guard on the lower floor of that building. There's another victory point there waiting. The Stormwall Flyer has moved up and round. The idea is hopefully take out that Flyer, Power Machine Spirit into the back of that with the Hellfrost Cannon. It's only got 2 hull points left. It's another victory point because the Land Raider is also there with its twin link las cannons looking down at the Knight. The Grey Hunters who abandoned the Rhino have moved round. The Plasma Gun guy is at the front looking at the Chimera. 2 hull points left on that. Hopefully blown it up, give me another victory point. If not, the Grey Hunters that are inside the building have shuffled round. Give me another option to blow that one up. Well, that was a very disappointing turn of shooting. The Land Raider and the Stormwall Flyer both opened up on the Knight. Did nothing. The rest of the guns from this opened up on that. Did nothing. I Power the Machine Spirit, the heavy bolts at the front, took a wound off the Great Unclean one. So that was a little bit of a bonus. Down here, my Plasma Gun guy opened up at the Chimera. Did nothing. However, it is gone. It is destroyed. It's another victory point for me. The Plasma Gun guy down here out of this squad opened up at it. He blew it up in the resulting explosion. I actually lost one of my Grey Hunters. So I managed to destroy one of John Thing's and one of my own in the end of that turn 4. Now, there isn't going to be any assaults because these guys are out of range. Was out of range with their guns as well. So it's going to be over to Chaos for turn 4. Are they coming for line breaker? Are they going to consolidate back and try and clear up their back lines around here? Let's go find out.
So my Vendetta's flown off the back of the battlefield to return again next turn. The Knight has moved up with clear intentions of assaulting the Land Raider. My Avenger has flown forward to have a go at that squad, again on its way out of the battle. Down here, Nurglings stayed put again. They're having a lot of fun just really having some popcorn and watching what's going on. My guardsmen down here, they've just hopped around the side of the building. The guy's got a melt gun, and I just kind of figured, well, you know, I might take a lucky shot and see if I can do something to that flyer on its way past. And that is basically all we've got to move, so that's it. On to Psychic, on to shooting. Let's see what happens next.
So with the Psychic phase, I cast Iron Arm on Great and Clean one again, getting him into toughness 10, strength 9, just give him a bit of survivability, and that was pretty much it. Then we rolled Warp Storm table, and Khorne decided to visit the battlefield again, and he basically unleashed all his fury on one space poodle. And the template just went straight on his head, and that was it. He was gone. He didn't roll 6 on any other units. He obviously really hated this guy. And then with the shooting phase, the Avenger then came in and just unleashed fury on the rest of the unit. Took out 5 guys, the rest of them.
Yeah, we lost 6.
And I think that was it for the shooting. The shooting from this knight here, the melter gun. Obviously, the tank is so close. But yeah, of course, they always miss. And then the missile pod on top, yeah, did nothing. So we're now going to move into the assault phase and see if we can rip this pretty little tank into pieces. Do you know what? I absolutely love this gauntlet on this guy. It might not come in useful that often, but the fact that he can then, when he destroys a vehicle, pick it up and then make a outer sequence shooting attack. What happened here was he then basically ran into the Land Raider, destroyed it, and decided to pick it up and lob it at these space puppies over here. But the guy just basically stepped out of the way because it's AP dash. So still quite funny to see a Land Raider go flying back towards the Space Wolves lines.
So thanks to the knight throwing back the Land Raider, I have a bit more cover. Kind of should be removed from play according to the rules, but you know what? That looks so cool. We're leaving it there. It also gives me, like I said, a nice bit of cover for these guys to hunker down and try not to give away a victory point. All the way over here now, my flyer has entered hover mode. Basically, heavy bolters, Hellfrost cannon, bolt pistol from down there, trying to kill these guys off, get a victory point. Las cannons. Back of that knight, it's got 2 hull points left. Let's try and take this off the board. The Rhino has moved up, consolidating on into my line breaker, so that is definitely secured for me because there is nothing around it that can destroy it. Finally, the remaining Grey Hunters from this squad have moved up into the building again, trying to get some cover, trying to, well, stay out of the way of trouble, really. So the idea is now, I know that's kind of headed for line breaker, so let's kill that. Let's kill them. Let's try and get another couple of victory points here. The Stormwolf flyer has opened up with its heavy bolters and its Hellfrost cannon. Pretty much wiping out this squad. There is one guy left. So John's going to have to rally that guy quite well. I machine parachute spirited the last cannons at the knight. It didn't go very well. It went very well. The knight has gone. There is a gaping hole where this guy used to be. The resultant explosion did hit the Warlord, but yeah, he's too hard to even bother with that, so he just kind of shook it off and carries on. But that is the threat to my lines. That is a good threat. Disappeared now. It's going to be over to the Chaos guys because, well, I can't assault anybody. I'm not in range of anything.
First of all, the Avenger has flown off the board and it's gone into ongoing reserves. The Vendetta is back on and eyeing up the side of the flyer. The little Nurglings, bless them, they're clearly bored of sitting on their perch and they've climbed down as fast as their little legs can carry them. And I think they might be running away from the Terminators, to be honest. I think they're a little bit intimidated by dudes that are about 4 times their size. So they're making a bit of a run for it. On the subject of runs, we can't actually run, but the Great Unclean one is making a move towards hoping to get line breakers. Really not a lot to report. The Vendetta managed to get one las cannon hit, which failed to penetrate, so no news there.
Yay.
These guys here with their flashlights basically just gave away their position and reminded the Terminators that they were actually there.
They might as well have just stood there and waved at them.
Yeah, but nothing to report on that front at all. And we're out of weapons. Oh, in the Psychic phase,
Not a lot happened.
Warp Storm table got the Great and Clean one a 4+ invuln save. Great.
So
that's that done.
Another turn.
So let's see what happens with the next turn. So we want a 3 in order for the game to continue, and we got it. So game rolls on.
The Grey Hunters here have all basically shuffled up into the windows and up onto the next floor, getting line of fire down onto these Nurglings. They are being chased by the Terminators, so there is a door in that building, so they are pretty much going to smash their way through it and get into combat with them. The Stormwall Flyer, kind of glad that these guys gave away their position. He is now literally sitting there going, "Hello boys, you're going to die." The guys inside this building basically just opened up on these Nurglings, managed to hit quite a lot, killed a couple. Plasma Gun was in rapid fire range, killing another 2. So I think they lost 3 bases in total, which is actually quite a lot of wounds. So there are...
Pick on your own size.
Hell no, these guys are going to die. So basically, these guys are going to be going into assault over there, hopefully killing them off. Stormwall Flyer, perfect. It absolutely destroyed, annihilated, nuked, wiped out the 3 remaining Imperial Guards on top of this building. So that was another victory point for me. So it's going to be going over to assault. Can we make it in? I hope so. The Nurglings that tried to run away from the Terminators failed to do so. They just got overran. I did lose a Terminator to the little Nurglings though. So the Wolfclaw guy was pulled down by the little green sods and was just mauled to death inside of his armour. So the rest of them, though, got revenge for the death of their battle brother. So it's another victory point for the Space Wolves. I'm actually thinking this is actually getting really close as we're heading into the Chaos turn 6.
Been a long, hard-fought battle, but we are on Chaos turn 6, and it's pretty much just everything wrapping up in this summary. So with movements, John's flyer came on, and I then moved my Great Unclean One up to get Linebreaker. We then had Psychic Phase. I fluffed everything. I think Nurgle was so upset about the poor little Nurglings getting hammered to death, like literally being hammered to death. He was so upset he decided just to abandon me completely. So yeah, he had no psychic powers. Khorne then decided to revisit the battle, but he got bored of me as well. Didn't kill anything. And then the shooting, John's planes finally took down the other plane. It's all just Imperial planes to me, but that's good. Excellent. So that's 1 Imperial plane, 1 less Imperial plane to worry about, and another victory point. And then in the assault phase, the Great and Clean One managed to get a 9 because he was trying to through cover, so get into the space puppies that are left, but 1 little dude is left with his power fist. So no, we might go into turn 7. We shall see.
So then, guys, we don't get a turn 7. That is it, the end of the battle. And what has been possibly one of the most bloodiest battles we've had on the channel in quite some time. That was absolute carnage. Pretty much all that is left for the Chaos is the Great Unclean One down here. And the 2 flyers from the Imperial Guard for the Space Wolves. There's my Terminator squad, Crom, Ajax, a Rhino and a Grey Hunter squad in that building. Totaling up the victory points, it was actually 14 all in the end. Yeah, so it was a draw. I think that's a fair result considering how much fun we've actually had during that battle. What we did with the Knights is we took the rule from the Apocalypse book where you get an extra victory point for blowing them up on the catastrophic damage table. So each Knight was worth 2 victory points there. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as what we did. Like if you like, leave us a comment. It'd be great to hear your feedback. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel to get our updates of our videos that we're loading. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.